Dave Sussman back with you, Whiskey Politics for Ricochet.com, and we are still at Freedom Fest. In fact, just finishing up Freedom Fest, as you could tell from my attire here, so got to have a comfortable travel day home. But before we left, we wanted to speak with Nick Zhao, who is with the World Nano Foundation, ZMY Financial Group, who's here this week to talk to Freedom Fest and to share with us today why he was on a panel to discuss the new anti-culturalism in China and what is going on, how it's changed since the Cultural Revolution. So, welcome, Nick. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. So, tell us a little bit about the panel, what it was about, and what your perspective is.
Okay. So yesterday I was on a panel and we discussed how China has changed since the Cultural Revolution in the 1970s. And two of my co-panelists, they were arguing that China really hasn't changed much since the Cultural Revolution, meaning that a lot of the politics, a lot of degree of oppression by the Chinese government stayed the same, basically to the present days. But I argued otherwise. I believe that China has changed a lot and towards free market economy and towards individual liberties in the last 20 and 30 years after the Cultural Revolution. So I brought a different perspective.
And how's that impacted the economy of China? We all know when we talk about China is a huge global, maybe the global superpower now when it comes to economically speaking.
Yes.
Obviously, America is there. But how has the Cultural Revolution impacted the economy?
I believe, you mean how the Cultural Revolution impacted the economy?
Yep.
Basically, the Cultural Revolution was an unfortunate event that started in the 1970s by a gang of four peoples. One was the wife of Mao. After Mao passed away, she came to power, and then three other guys. They were trying to gain the political powers for themselves, and they were actually opposed by many loyal communists and good communists at the time. So they didn't represent the Communist Party. And after they were defeated and purged out of power, this guy named Deng Xiaoping, he believed that China should change. So in the 1980s, he opened up China to the Western world,
right,
and reformed China in many ways, and set up special economic zones, and where China began to model its economy after Hong Kong and other successful Asian countries. So after 20 years, China has basically changed a lot from the Cultural Revolution.
You look back in history and you go back to the 1970s with Richard Nixon and how it was so controversial for him to go to China.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, at the time.
And now you take a look 40, almost 50 years later, the impact of opening up China to the world, the marketplace of the world. Is that something that you see it started right about that time?
You mean when Nixon visited China?
Yes.
I think so. I think it definitely had a big influence because that was one of the most notable events in that decade. When Nixon visited China, nobody believed it was going to be successful, but it was pretty successful.
Yeah.
It was Kissinger's.
And now we have President Trump. Okay, who's met with the Chinese president in Florida, and what is the feeling from within China about the new bilateral relationship with America under President Trump?
You mean the feeling from the general population of China, or from the Chinese government?
Let's go with both.
Okay, so I think the Chinese government is pretty happy about it because Xi Jinping represents the Chinese government. He was when he visited Trump in the U.S. and they were pretty happy that we met Trump. And on the other hand, the Chinese populations, the Chinese general population, they also were very happy when Trump won because they saw Trump as a strong business leaders who had a lot of diplomatic skills because he's a very successful man and definitely a better choice than Clinton, who we don't even know what she's going to do if she was elected. So they were very happy about the meeting with Trump. And
One of the
election,
greatest
so.
geopolitical threats in that region right now is North Korea.
Yes.
And China, a few months ago, was saying that they are going to provide some form of pressure
Yes.
on North Korea. That has yet to be seen. What is the feeling right now from a Chinese perspective about North Korea? I know North Korea's defectors heading into China is not something that they want. So is there a feeling of concern regarding North Korea and their testing of ballistic missiles and
Like
the
by the Chinese, like how Chinese people in general like feel
Well,
about
how does
North
the
Korea?
Chinese government look at this? I guess my question is: are they going to crack down? Are they going to still be providing the economic support that they're providing for North Korea? This is the only way North Korea is surviving, correct?
This is very complicated because China has indeed been ally with North Korea, at least since the Korean War. But and China has been have a strong, like at least North Korea is strongly dependent on Chinese imports.
Yes, very much so. So
Yeah.
you have a lot of leverage, right?
Yeah, you have a lot of leverage. So basically, if China says we're going to sanction you, and then North Korea then would be really, out of the picture, So,
So why aren't they not doing it?
well, because first of all, China has maintained very close relationship with North Korea because
Right.
they are diplomatical allies. Has been that way since the 1950s. But this new president, Xi Jinping, he also sees the problem with North Korea, especially when he tries to create stronger tie with the U.S.
Yes.
And he understands that there's something needs to be done with North Korea because North Korea is really doing something that's endangering like not only East Asia but perhaps like North America as well.
Yeah.
So he's definitely trying to do something about it, but I'm not sure what is going to happen. But
I'm curious because everybody wants peace.
Yes.
Especially in that region of the world.
Yes.
Okay, where you have a threat in the way of Kim Jong-un lobbing missiles up in the air into the Japan Sea.
Yeah.
Japan is concerned. South Korea, obviously, right on the border, is concerned.
Yes.
China. Russia, they all share the borders, okay? Does China have the ability to impact peacemaking?
Definitely, yes. If China go to Kim Jong-un and says, you know what, you got to change the way you are, and otherwise we're going to put a sanction, we're not going to have any kind of relationship anymore that we had, then I think that would be tremendous pressure on the North Korean regime.
It would be.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see it.
But
right?
on the other hand, I believe Kim Jong-un, although he's a dictator, although he's very authoritarian, very bad in certain ways, but at the same time, I think he's a very rational guy. He understands that if he does do something crazy with South Korea, Japan, or with the U.S., there will be retaliations.
You believe that he believes in that? He believes in mutually assured destruction?
Yes, that's the term, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Why do we not see that in the media and the reporting that's out there right now? Everybody's saying that the man is crazy, he's psychotic.
I believe there's some misrepresentation. I believe.
You do?
On one hand, he might seem crazy, with launching the missile, but but on the other hand, I believe there's some rationality to that guy. I don't think he will do anything to assure mutually assured destruction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because he has fears. He's scared when, for example, when there's news that someone might want to assassinate him. It seems like his reaction was really scared about that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's definitely a lot of people within North Korea that are very scared of him as well. So, somebody trying to take him down from within might not be the most effective way to go.
Yeah.
What is your, my last question for you is
Okay,
this.
sure.
When we talk about bilateral relations with China and the United States, the two biggest economies in the world.
Yes, number one, number two.
Right. What do you predict for the future between these two countries, and as far as how it impacts their economies working together? You've got, and the reason I'm asking you is during the campaign, you had Trump talking about them being a currency manipulator and all of these different issues. So when it comes to trade, what are we looking at? What are you predicting for the future?
Well, basically, first of all, I believe that Trump has changed. When he was campaigning, he said a lot of negative things about China.
Right.
Like China is stealing our jobs, China this and China that. But after he got elected, especially after he studied China more closely and after he met with the president of China, I believe his perspective on China has significantly changed. And nowadays you almost never hear from the president about that saying negative things about China anymore. It's
right.
So I think say maybe in 4 years into his terms, that there will be a much better relationship between Trump and Xi, and which means there will be much better relationships between the U.S. and China. So I'm pretty optimistic about it. I think so long as China and U.S. as the top two economies, top two superpowers in the world can work together, we can be a lot of influence to the world, and stuff like North Korea and other crises can be resolved, like through joint effort between China and the U.S.
I see a lot of markets that have been just continuing to opening up. I mean,
yes.
There's not a movie now that is made in Hollywood that they don't have their eye on China as a marketplace, right?
Okay.
As far as the movie goers, they're making movies right now in the United States, understanding that they have to make sure that it's going to work in China as well.
Okay, yeah.
Right, the movie studios. And it goes back to what you're talking about with the cultural questions. Right?
Yes.
And so Hollywood, entertainment, music, the arts.
Okay.
Right? Do you see more of a cross connect as the economy works together?
You mean for example, there will be more movies played in China, from the U.S. and possibly also
that's
Chinese
happening
movie
now, right?
made in China, like they play in the U.S. too, like it's cultural exchange.
I mean, a lot of Chinese money's coming into Hollywood. I've got friends that are in the industry, and they have to raise money, and a lot of that money is now coming from Chinese studios or Chinese groups.
Yes. I think so. I think there'll definitely be a lot more cultural exchange as a result of stronger economics and diplomatic relationship between the two countries. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So.
Well, Nick, very interesting. And the World Nano Foundation, tell me the website address for people to come and check you guys out.
Okay, so the website is www.worldnano, nano is NANO, foundation.com, and you can also reach me at ZMY, Z as in zebra, M and Y Financial Group at yahoo.com.
Very good. Greatly appreciate taking the time, and thank you for participating in the panel here at Freedom Fest. And folks, if you like what you heard, continue to follow us at whiskeypolitics.net. You can find us on all social media as well, and of course, download our latest podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and if you subscribe, please make sure you give us a 5-star rating so others can find us as well. I'm Dave Sussman. I'll be back here again soon. And again, special thanks to Nick Zhao, and we'll be talking to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.